Hello my dear friends and welcome to StudyIQ. I am Joycey Joy and today in this lecture we will discuss about agricultural startups in India. First of all, let us analyze what is the current affair. Agricultural startups play a significant role in serving the small farmers of Indian agricultural sector. So, considering the significance or importance of agricultural startups in serving the small farmers, there should be more seed funding available to the agricultural startups, also incubation and mentoring in order to make a larger impact. So this is the current affair, and based on this, let us understand what is a need for agricultural startup in India, what are the successful models, and also what is the way ahead in agricultural startup culture in India. First of all, let us understand why there is a need for agricultural startups in India. One of the major focus of the government is to modernize Indian agriculture. That means agriculture should adopt modern technologies. This is because agriculture is a very significant sector of Indian economy which provides around 16% of GDP. It also contributes a huge proportion of employment to the total employment generation in the country, and also the entire or a majority of the rural economy in India is dependent on agriculture and allied activities. So considering this significance of agricultural sector in India, it plays a major role in economic development and also economic growth. So, modernization of agriculture will have a positive impact on the agricultural sector. And modernizing Indian agriculture will require a change in the key elements of the sector. For example, the supply chain, the markets, the production support, the credit support, the crop insurance. These are all some of the major sectors or elements of agricultural sector. So, all this requires a significant change, and this can be provided by agricultural startups. The Indian entrepreneurs are developing new technologies and business models in order to meet these challenges in the agricultural sector. So, with regard to the agricultural startups, they will have more credit, more technology or more capital that can be effectively utilized in developing all this elements of agricultural sector like the supply chain, market mechanism, the production capacity, credit availability, insurance facility, etc. And now looking at the statistics, in the year 2018, India had almost 500 agricultural startups, and in the past 5 years alone, these 500 agricultural startups have raised nearly 130 million from investments or from investors. So, this also proves that agricultural supply chain plays a major role or a key role in raising capital in order to meet the expenditure on agricultural production and post-harvest expenditures. Now, the third factor is that the supply chain in the agricultural sector is largely fragmented, especially the supply chain for perishable commodities like the fruits, vegetables, etc. remain largely fragmented in India, with smallholder farmers earning low margins. Because these commodities are highly perishable, it requires a investment in the supply chain in the form of storage, in the form of warehousing, transportation, the final market reach, and also in food processing or processing of this agricultural commodities. So all this requires huge capital investments, and also organized structure is required in order to bring in this fragmented supply chain into an organized structure. And this can be done by agricultural startups. Now the fourth factor is regarding the unpredictability of the demand and the prices of agricultural commodities. The prices of agricultural commodities are highly volatile, and this depends on the demand and supply factors. If the demand for agricultural commodities in a particular season is less, the prices also comes down, and the reverse happens. If demand is more, the prices will go up, leading to food inflation. But in that case also, the farmer is not benefited because of this fragmented supply chain. But now coming to supply. In the recent days, in many examples, we have seen that there is an issue of excess supply. The production increases, but the farmers are paid very less. The reason is an excess of supply in the market leads to lowering of prices. So farmers are hit by excess production as well. So the demand and the supply factors are highly unpredictable, and therefore the price which is influenced by both this demand and supply factors, it also remains highly unpredictable. So this is also another major issue, and this can be solved if there is proper storage, warehousing and processing functions. The demand and the supply factors can be stabilized with proper supply chain. The excess produce can be stored and can be used in the off season. So this has to be backed up by a proper logistics and supply chain, for which huge capital investment is required, and the agricultural startups can help in this regard also. Another major risk is the post-harvest losses. This has to be backed up by proper crop insurance facilities to the farmers. So a solution to all this can be provided effectively by the agricultural startups, and this will help the farmers or the agricultural sector to fulfill their potential. The issue of agrarian distress or the farmers' distress can be effectively solved. The farmers will get remunerative prices for their produce. The prices can be stabilized. Consumers will also be benefited from food inflation. The prices will largely stay stable. So, in all this regard, agricultural startups are beneficial. Now, let us understand some of the successful agricultural startup models so far. First, in the supply chain efficiency. A number of startups are using data and technology to improve the supply chain efficiency. For example, Waycool. It distributes fresh produce to sellers ranging from small shops to large retail outlets, and the Waycool, which is an agricultural startup, has helped in reducing wastage and inefficiency. They are using this data and technology. They use analytics, process management software and connected devices. Another example is Jumbotail. They are a startup that connects retail grocery stores with food processors and farmer producer organizations. So FPOs, food processing industries and the retailers are connected, and this will help in minimizing the wastage. Ergos is another startup that operates a chain of efficient and hygienic rural warehousing facilities. So the small farmers will have easy access to these warehouses because they are located in the rural areas. Now coming to production support. A number of startups have created alternative channels to deliver inputs to farmers at low cost. So in the production support, what matters is the price of inputs. So if the inputs like the seeds, fertilizers, pesticides, etc. are available at lower cost to the farmers, this will help the farmers to cut down the cost of production. That means profit margin will increase for the farmers. An example of production support agricultural startup is AgroStar. AgroStar created a standalone mobile app and also a web service and customer call center through which farmers can obtain high quality products for all their farming needs. And another concern with regard to production support is the high cost of farm equipment. So in some cases, some startups are offering on-demand rentals. The farm equipments can be purchased by the farmers on a rental basis, and this is provided by some of the agricultural startups. So this will enable the farmers who own the equipment to rent it to others, and those farmers who cannot afford it, they can get it on a rental basis as well. An example of such a startup is Gold Farm. So Gold Farm is a startup that connects the farmers who need the equipment with the farmers who own the equipment, and this is done through a cloud-based platform. So such type of production support activities are also carried out by many of the startups. Now with regard to finance, most of the small farmers lack access to finance because collateral is a major requirement for availing credit facilities. Now if we look at the example of public sector banks, there is a provision for priority sector lending, wherein which a portion of the priority sector lending must be given for farmers or for agricultural sector. But what is the drawback here? The farmers will have to produce some kind of collateral or evidence of the ownership of land. But most of the farmers in India cultivate on some other person's land. So they lack this collateral facility. And because of that, most farmers, especially the small and marginal farmers in India, lack access to collateral free financing and crop insurance. So in order to overcome this issue, some startups use satellite imagery and machine learning to facilitate crop insurance for the small holding farmers. So here the premiums would be less and the payouts will be timely and adequate. So such type of crop insurance facilities are also provided by some of the agricultural startups. So all this reveals the fact that agricultural startups are highly successful in India to help especially the small and marginal farmers. Now let us understand what is the way ahead or what more has to be done. So from all these examples and the significance part, we have understood that agricultural startups in India have addressed a systematic bottlenecks in the agricultural sector. But what more is required is that in addition to investment capital, Indian agricultural startups need technical advice and also access to global markets and talent. The startups that serve the small farmers, they need more seed funding, early stage capital, incubation, mentoring, etc. in order to unlock their immense growth potential. So for that, investments in the supply chain is required and also a clearly defining policy is required from the part of the government. You can find the PDF of this lecture on my Facebook page, and for any queries regarding your UPSC preparations, you can get in touch with me on my Facebook page or you can email me at joyce.studyiq@gmail.com. Thank you. I wish you all a very good day.